In this season of The Big Talk, you are going to have access to the most incredible speakers who recently performed at the virtual showcase, which is the culmination of the Big Talk Academy, my 12-week signature speaker training. Be sure to watch every single one of these speakers in this series because they are all equally as inspiring, entertaining, and powerful. And by sharing their important messages, they can change and even save a life. Enjoy. Dr. Debra Clary is a social scientist with 3 decades of executive experience with Fortune 100 companies. She is an author, speaker, stand-up comedian, and award-winning film producer. She holds a doctorate from George Washington University and is the recipient of the Ralph Stone Leadership Award for Exemplary Leadership. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Debra Clary with Curiosity, the secret elixir of great leadership.
So one Saturday morning, my daughter Madeline announced to me that she wanted to try out for the varsity basketball team. Well, because I'm that supportive mom, I said, that's an awesome goal. What do you think your chances are? She said, well, not very good. I said, oh, why do you say that? And she says, well, I can't dribble, I can't shoot, and I'm not very fast. And I think those are pretty good skills for a basketball player. But being a social scientist and a leadership educator for 3 decades, I know as humans we tend to downplay or underestimate our capabilities. But in this case, she had accurately assessed her skills. So I said to Madeline, let's figure this out. How can we improve your skills? And before she could answer, I said, I got it. We could enroll you in a basketball camp. We could hire a private coach. We could put a hoop in the backyard. Yeah, this is going to work. She says, no, Mom, it's not going to work. So why not? She goes, because tryouts are in 2 days. Finally, I said, Madeline, why is this so important to you? Why now? Why this year? And she said, this would be the last year I can play with Megan. She's the senior. See, Megan's my older daughter, and my heart melted, and I was determined to get her on that team. And I also thought it would benefit me because I'd only have to sit through 1 game versus 2 games. So I said, Madeline, you play varsity volleyball. What do you do there that would benefit this team? So she thinks, and I wait, and then she says, I'm an outside hitter, so I can jump. I said, that's right, and basketball players need to jump. I said, now why are you jumping? She said, to spike the ball? I said, that's right, and basketball players need hand-eye coordination, and you have that. And I said, now when you're playing defense, what are you doing? She said, hustling? Yes, basketball players need to hustle. Now we're excited. We've got a good list going. And I said, what else can we add to the list? She says, nothing. I said, come on, what else can we add to the list? She says, nothing. I said, how about you're tall? Oh yeah, that. See, Madeline had just had a BFO, a blinding flash of the obvious. As humans, sometimes we forget what makes us most valuable, and there's no one there to remind us. By asking questions and being curious, we can rediscover that which makes us valuable. You know, the Great Resignation saw 4 million Americans quit their jobs in 1 month alone. I mean, that's like if all of LA doesn't show up for work tomorrow. I mean, the Great Resignation should be called the Great Awakening, because employees are waking up and saying, I want to be valued. And as a leader, our role is to bring out the best in our employees. See, we hire tall, but over time they gradually feel small. Employees don't quit companies, they quit leaders. They quit us because we stop asking questions. As leaders, we become incurious. So what is curiosity? Curiosity is being genuinely interested in learning and understanding about others and their situation. A group of neuroscientists got so curious about curiosity that they used an fMRI machine to measure the brain activity when we're curious. And what they discovered is that the brain lights up when we're curious, specifically two parts of the brain. The first is the midbrain. The midbrain controls our sight, our hearing, our motor skills, and our arousal. And the nucleus, which is the command center for all cognitive processing. See, when the midbrain gets so excited about new information coming in that it tries to recruit the hippocampus, which manages and stores all our memory. But the problem with the hippocampus is it's basically, well, lazy, but for good reason. So the midbrain gets new information and it says, hey, hippocampus, come check this out. And the hippocampus says, I don't think so. He goes, no, this is different. You've got to come listen to this. And he says, yeah, that's what you said about algebra, the periodic tables, world history. Does that sound familiar? No, that's because we haven't used it in 3 decades. But the midbrain is persistent and says, dude, trust me on this. And when that occurs, learning begins. Curiosity has to be practiced because it is a state and not a trait. When we're children, we ask 396 questions a day. That's nearly a question every 2 minutes. As adults, we ask 5. What happened? Well, curiosity became a bad thing. I mean, everyone knows that curiosity killed the cat. I mean, we're taught that Adam and Eve got curious and ate of the tree of knowledge, and then darkness fell over the world. And then in Greek mythology, Icarus was curious. He had wings of wax. He flew too close to the sun and fell. And of course, there's always Pandora's box. See, we are taught to be incurious, and we stay incurious for 3 reasons. The first is that we become experts in our profession, and we've paid good money for that education, so we never have to question ourselves again. Second, we get paid for that expertise, so please don't question my expertise. And then third, we have deadlines, so we don't have time for questions. See, the most successful leaders ask questions and invite questions. You know, typically, an employee comes into your office, they put the problem on the table, the leader solves it and sends them on their way. But a more curious leader will ask questions about the problem, like, what ideas do you have to solve this? Why is this important to you? Why this year? See, curiosity is contagious. When the leader is curious, it sparks curiosity in the employee. Why, a curious employee is a tall employee. Einstein said, I have no special talents. I'm only passionately curious. Curiosity is the secret elixir to great leadership. We can all be a part of the great awakening. What if everyone could help all the Madeleines in the world? I mean, what would your world be like if your kids, your employees, your spouse was more curious? You give a person an answer and you've solved one problem, but you teach them to be curious and you've empowered them. So are you wondering if Madeleine made the basketball team that year? Well, you know, she wasn't the fastest, she wasn't the best dribbler, she wasn't the best shooter, but she went on to be the leading rebounder in the history of that school, boys or girls, because I asked a question. What question will you ask today? Go get curious.
Amazing, Debra. So good. Thank you. Amazing. Love your set. Love your camera. Love your lighting. It looks amazing. Also, I love the surprise after you've introduced Madeleine that you bring in Megan and you tell us that they're sisters, and that story is really, really great. You are doing an amazing job of storytelling and teaching at the same time. Really, really nice combination. The BFO, blind flash of the obvious, I think that's something that you could bring in more. You can circle back, give us more examples. I think that there's a lot of people who run around with BFO, and I think it's something that I'd love to hear you talk more about. The Great Awakening and our role as leaders. I'm really glad that you're talking about this, and I think you are on the right track of continuing to talk about it. I also loved so much your excitement around brain science. It was delightful to watch you be excited about the hippocampus. And I would like to invite you to consider having a voiceover in the future of the hippocampus talking so that you have a conversation with the VO. So you're you and the hippocampus is also talking in your talk.
Great.
I also love how you describe the legends and how curiosity in relationship to those legends is evil. It's a really good reminder for us to think about why we're not curious. And I think those stories line that up and set that up for us beautifully. You also teach us the tools and examples of how to be a curious leader that we can implement today. And that was really great. And when you do this as a longer talk, you can spend more time on each of those. At the end, when you said, what if we could help all of the Madelines? You made a choice as an actor, as a speaker, to pretend like you were thinking of that line in the moment. You don't need to.
Okay.
Just declare, give it to us. What if all the, ask us to think about it, asked us to consider, right? And being able to talk about the leading rebounder, that was great. So we wrap up the story with a happy ending, which I love. Give me the very last line of the speech again.
Go get curious.
Give me the line and deliver it a little slower. Like you really want me to do this. How are you going to get me to do it?
Go get curious.
Great. That last line and how you deliver it is really, really important. And the way you just did it, you had intention behind it. The way you did it at the end of the talk was the end of the talk. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Beautiful. Amazing work.
Thank you.
If you desire to be on the virtual showcase stage, hop on over to thebigtalkacademy.com and register now for my 12-week signature speaker training, where you can become certified by the Big Talk Academy and perform on my virtual showcase stage. And if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscription button and notification bell, and definitely share your thoughts in the comments. I will respond to each and every one of you. Big love, everybody.